Hi, kids. Welcome back to GOPO. Today we're going to move on to section 3 of chapter 6. We're going to be talking today about judicial review and how over time the courts have used it to have checks over Congress, the president, and the states. So we're going to start out with John Marshall and the powers of the Supreme Court. So he wasn't the first Chief Justice, but he was the most powerful Chief Justice at the time and one of the most powerful in American history because he extended the power of the court beyond what was written in the Constitution. So, for instance, with the election of 1800, John Adams was running against Thomas Jefferson, and he was a Federalist versus a Democratic Republican, respectively. Each elector got 2 votes. Jefferson and his running mate Burr tied because what happened was Jefferson's like, well, whoever gets first is president, whoever gets second vice president. So he told all the electors, vote for me and Burr together, and then we'll get first and second place. Well, they tied, so they had to go to the House of Representatives to get the tiebreaker, and they picked Thomas Jefferson. After that, the 12th Amendment was added to separate the votes for the president and the vice president. So all of this has to do with basically, this is the background information you need for the first time the Supreme Court really showed that, they actually got legitimacy. So here's what happened. So Thomas Jefferson won, Democratic Republican. The House and the Senate were now being controlled by Democratic Republicans. So before John Adams left office, he realized, well, I can still pack the courts with Federalists. So he tried to do that where and this is, oh my gosh, this is very deja vu all over again. So the Judiciary Act of 1801 said we're going to expand the number of federal judges, just like we heard in the debates with President Trump and Vice President Joe Biden. Are you going to pack the courts? So Adams, with that act, tried to appoint a lot of judges that would be Federalists, so at least that branch would be controlled by Federalists in his eyes. So he appointed a bunch of people called the Midnight Judges, where basically right before he left office, he tried to pack the judicial branch with judges. One of them was William Marbury, and he basically, James Madison at the time was Secretary of State. He refused to let him be a judge. He's like, I'm not letting this guy on. This is dirty how this all happened. So he sued James Madison. So probably the most famous, if not the most important Supreme Court case you need to know is Marbury versus Madison. Because he was one of the, this was the first time that we see judicial review actually being implemented. Now, at the time, ironically enough, Marshall was one of those midnight judges. And his job was to strengthen, his role in his eyes was to strengthen the national government and show the court has powers too. And this is what happened. And he did this first with Marbury versus Madison. He basically said that, in this, he didn't want to appear weak in front of the Republicans. So he basically said the Supreme Court does have power, and this is how he established it. So number one, he asked himself, are the men entitled to their commissions, meaning like Marbury and the midnight judges? Can the courts be forced by Marbury to deliver commissions? And that's what he was asking James Madison. A commission is just like a signing of you're an official judge. And were Marbury and the other plaintiffs entitled to the remedy that they sought, which was a writ of mandamus. And they basically looked at this and they saw that it was improperly given to the courts by Congress in the Judiciary Act of 1789. And Congress changed the power of the Supreme Court, not a power of Congress. Therefore, Congress did something unconstitutional. So moral of the story is this. The Judiciary Act of 1789 was unconstitutional. They found that in Marbury versus Madison. Because they found that, Marbury didn't get his commission. And this is the first time this is the big implication from all of this. This is the first time judicial review was ever actually used. The first time where the court said something is unconstitutional, therefore this law does not exist. That was huge. So it's just basically like in the Constitution, it said the court had judicial review. This is the first time of them actually using it. And all of a sudden the country and Congress and the president alike were all like, holy cow, the Supreme Court is actually legit because they've used their power and they could just strike down anything they want that we do as unconstitutional. So the implications, again, of this decision is that he expanded the power of the courts. Now they can interpret the Constitution, and it made them a co-equal branch when they were kind of be seen as like the least dangerous branch, the one that you don't even think about or care about. And that he would use judicial review for a while to overturn a bunch of state laws because he saw that they were violating the Constitution's supremacy clause. So these are some of the documents, with Chapter 6, you're going to read Fed 78, and you're going to need to read Marbury versus Madison. So when you're done with this, I want you to think to yourself a couple of things. Number one, how does the power of judicial review make the Supreme Court a co-equal branch? And number two, did the Supreme Court overstep its bounds, assuming the power of judicial review? So if you read Article 3 of the Constitution, you can interpret that yourself. Okay, so that is it for Section 3, and then we will finish off Chapter 6 with the next Sections 4 and 5 together. I'll talk to you later. Bye.